So .NET architecture. Here in this chapter, what we are going to see: compiling and running the code that targets .NET. Second one is advantages of Microsoft Intermediate Language (MSIL). Third one is we are going to see what are the value types and what do you mean by a reference type. Then data typing. Okay, data typing is nothing but the data types that you have seen already. Next, understanding error handling and attributes. Finally, we are going to see about assemblies, .NET base classes. Yesterday itself I told you, right? Base class library is the heart of the common language runtime in .NET. It contains all the necessary classes. Next one is the namespaces. In Java, we speak everything only in terms of packages, whereas in C Sharp, we speak everything only in terms of namespaces. Okay, so namespace will contain collection of classes, and each class in turn will contain attributes and methods. Along with that, we'll be having indexes, properties, etc. Okay, first we'll see the relationship of C Sharp with .NET. Here there are two important points that you need to consider. First one is the architecture and the methodologies of C Sharp reflect the underlying methodologies of .NET. Next important point is specific language features of C Sharp actually depend on features of .NET or of the .NET base classes. Okay, these are the 2 points that you need to remember when we are saying about the relationship between C Sharp and .NET. So C Sharp is a programming language newly designed for .NET. Okay, it is specifically designed and targeted for the use with the Microsoft's .NET framework. So you must know what is Microsoft .NET framework. It is actually a platform for the development, deployment, and execution of distributed application. So again, I'm repeating, what is Microsoft .NET framework? Microsoft .NET framework is a feature-rich platform. Okay, Microsoft .NET framework is a feature-rich platform for the development, deployment, and execution of distributed applications. Next, we'll come back to the C Sharp language. It is a modern object-oriented language methodology. Next is we'll see the features of the .NET framework. First important thing is Common Language Runtime. Okay, CLR. We'll call it as CLR. Common Language Runtime. So Common Language Runtime is the heart of the .NET framework. It is like a kernel in Unix. Okay, so common language runtime, like Java runtime, here common language runtime is the heart of the .NET framework. Okay, so it is otherwise called as .NET runtime. So all the base class libraries will be available only in the common language runtime. Every language in .NET is having its own syntax, but it will refer the implementation only from the CLR. Okay, so this is very important at this point. Common language runtime is the runtime environment. Okay, it is like Java runtime environment. Next, we'll see the compilation in .NET. There are two steps in compilation. First, the source code is compiled to Microsoft Intermediate Language. Okay, when you compile the C# program, it will be compiled into Microsoft Intermediate Language. Then, Intermediate Language is compiled to platform specific code by Common Language Runtime. Okay, so there are two stages in compilation in the .NET framework. Okay, there are two steps while performing the compilation in .NET. Whatever be the language that you are using, that is immaterial, whether it is C#.NET or VB.NET or whatever it is, or VC++.NET. Okay, so whatever be the language that we are using, it doesn't matter. But the compilation involves two stages. First one is source code is compiled into Microsoft Intermediate Language. Second one is intermediate language is compiled to platform specific code by Common Language Runtime. Okay, these are the two steps that you need to remember. Next. So advantages of intermediate language. Okay, so here we are talking about performance improvement, language interoperability. Okay, these are the advantages of having the intermediate language. In Java, when you compile your Java program, it is compiled into bytecode. Okay, that bytecode can be executed in any platform with the help of JVM, Java Virtual Machine. Whereas in .NET Framework, C# program can be compiled into intermediate language, and that intermediate language is compiled to platform specific code by CLR. Advantages of having intermediate languages: platform independent. Okay, first is platform independent, second one is performance improvement, and third one is language interoperability. So while mentioning about the advantages of intermediate language. Previously, I didn't mention about platform independent. I intentionally left that one. Okay. Even today, uh, intermediate language generated by .NET framework language. Okay, it may be C Sharp or VB.NET or VC++.NET, whatever it is not platform independent. Okay, still the research is going on. So, advantage of intermediate languages, language interoperability, and performance improvement. These two are the advantages. Next, though platform independent feature is not supported, just we'll see what is platform independent. When you compile a code, intermediate language will be generated if that intermediate language can be executed in any platform. Okay, if that intermediate language can be executed in any platform, then we can call that one as a platform independent. Okay, you are writing a program and you are compiling it, you are generating a intermediate code. If that intermediate code can be executed in other platforms. Okay, suppose if you are writing the code in Windows platform and if you are trying to execute it in Linux or Macintosh OS or Bharat OS, etc. If it gets executed, then we can say that intermediate code is platform independent, or the language that support sorry, the language that generates that intermediate code supports platform independent. But Java does not support the feature of platform independent fully. Next is performance management. Here, like Java, we are having just-in-time compiler. Okay, JIT compiler. So JIT compiler helps to achieve the feature of performance improvement. Next is language interoperability. Okay, language interoperability. It means already I told you there are several languages supports .NET framework. Suppose you have assume that you have developed an application, calculator application in VB.NET. Okay, that calculator can be used from C Sharp directly. Okay, assume that you have developed a calculator application or calendar application in VB.NET. That component can be directly used in C Sharp without making any changes. C Sharp directly support that component which is developed in VB.NET. This feature is called as language interoperability. So these are the three things that you should remember. So common language runtime is the heart of the .NET framework. we will see it in detail. Okay, this is just a introduction part about common language runtime. Next, compilation process. There are two stages here. Source code is compiled to Microsoft Intermediate Language. Then intermediate language is converted to platform specific code by CLR. So there are two stages in compilation process in .NET. Next one is platform independence. C Sharp does not support platform independence. A partial cross-platformed implementation is available. Okay, that's why they are claiming C Sharp as a platform independent one, but it is not truly platform independent. Next one, performance improvement is there. They are achieving it. So we are achieving performance improvement using just-in-time compiler. Okay, like we have used it in Java language. Next is language interoperability. If you design a component in a .NET programming language, that component can be used directly from another .NET language. Okay, if you are designing a calculator component in VB.NET, that component can be directly used in C Sharp. Achieving this feature is called as language interoperability. So these are the three things that you should remember. So I am going to use Visual Basic 2000, sorry, not a Visual Basic. We are going to use Visual Studio. Okay, Visual Studio 2012. In that Visual Studio 2012, we'll see what are all the languages. First one is Visual Basic. This is one of the language available in Visual Studio. And the second language is Visual C++. Then we are speaking about COM and COM+. COM means Component Object Model. COM+ is the improvement of that COM. These are all the older technologies, that is before the introduction of the concept .NET. Microsoft uses COM and COM+. Okay, you just go through those things. Then Windows runtime. So I'm not going to discuss these things in detail. Now we'll see the important features of intermediate language. Okay, what are the important features of intermediate language? First one is object orientation and the use of interfaces. You know what is object orientation? What is an object? Anything that is defined by using class. Okay, that is if you put attribute and its associated method into a single unit, we will call it as a class. Class is simply a abstract data type, and if you create a instance for a class, then it will become a object. So object is nothing but an instance of a class. We can create interfaces also. You know what do you mean by interface? Interface is again a type. Okay, it will contain final variables and final or constant variables, right? Interfaces contain constant variables and method declarations. Interfaces can be used in between two components or two program codes. Okay, for connecting two program codes. Next, strong distinction between value type and a reference type. Okay, so here value type, it means simple data types: integer, float, double. Okay, these simple data types are called as value types. Reference type example is class. Okay, class is a reference type. Then delegate is a reference type. Interface is a reference type. Okay, so value types are integer, character, float, double. These are all called as value types. So simple data types comes under the category of value types, and a class, delegates, interfaces, they comes under the category of reference types. Value types are stored in stack data structure. Okay, when you declare a variable by using value types, those variables get stored in the stack data structure, whereas the reference types get stored in the heap. Okay, heap is a memory. Okay, heap is also a memory, stack is also a memory, but you know how stack works and how heap works in data structure. If not, you go through it. Okay, value type gets stored in stack data structure, whereas the reference type gets stored in the heap. Strong data typing is the next feature of intermediate language. Okay, strong data typing, it means whatever be the variable that we are using in the C# program, that should have a type, that should have a concrete type, not like Python. Okay, we will not use any data type in Python, whereas in C# language or in .NET framework, whenever you are using a data, you have to mention it type clearly. So we are calling it as a strong data typing. Next is error handling using exception. So runtime errors are well handled in .NET framework. Okay, runtime errors are well handled in .NET framework. Whatever be the runtime error, say for example, division by zero error. Okay, then next is array index out of range. Those errors, those runtime errors are not handled in C language. When that error encounters, your program gets terminated immediately. Okay, whereas in Java, if such an error occurs, immediately exception will be thrown. Likewise, in .NET also, whenever the runtime error occurs, your common language runtime or intermediate language will throw the exception object. That exception object or that exception can be handled. Okay, exception can be predefined exception or user defined exception. Predefined means already defined in .NET framework, whereas user defined means you are going to define your own exception. Okay, so exceptions are well handled in .NET framework. This is another important feature with intermediate language, IL. Okay, what is this IL? When you compile, .NET language program, the output is going to be intermediate language. Short form of intermediate language is IL. Then second stage of compilation is IL is compiled to mission specific code. How can we improve the performance? With the help of just-in-time compiler. Okay, don't forget these things. And apart from this, I am explaining the what are the features of intermediate language. Object orientation. There is a strong distinction between value type and reference type. I already explained what is that value type. What is a value type? Integer, character, float, double. What are the reference types? Class, delegate, then mm, class is there, delegate is there, interface, and so on. They are all example for reference types. Then strong data typing. It means what? Every data type should be declared. You cannot use a data without specifying its type. In Python language, you might have used the variable without declaring it. Okay. Whereas in .NET, you need to declare a variable before you use it. It is a strong data typing. This is one of the feature of intermediate language. And next one is error handling. Runtime errors are well handled in Java. There are two types of exception, predefined exception. Next one is user defined exception. Finally, the use of attributes. Attributes is used to provide metadata to a program. Okay, when you write a program in earlier days, what programmers will do is after writing a code uh, in the right side, they will put a comment for what purpose that code is returned. Okay, who is the programmer and what is the purpose of that code, when that code was written, everything they will give it as a comment. It is not easy to get those information alone from the code. Okay, whereas in whereas in .NET framework we are having a feature called attributes. While writing a program, you can define an attribute. In the attribute, you can specify the metadata information about the code you have written. Okay. So I hope you understood what do you mean by attribute. Attribute is used to specify metadata information for the code you have written. Okay. Why attribute means we can extract the metadata information alone from the code. We can extract the metadata information alone from the code. Next, we'll see the features one by one. That is support for object orientation. Okay. Support for object orientation. You know the features of object orientation, and what I suggest you is you please go through the concept of component object model, which is earlier technology used in used by the Microsoft. Okay, we are seeing the Microsoft technology. .NET is the Microsoft technology, and earlier to .NET, how they have managed the things, how they have developed the components, how those components were interacted with each other. Okay, they have defined a protocol for that. Uh, it is called as component object model. Com, com plus, decom, everything is there. You just go through it. I'm not going to explain those things. .NET supports language interoperability. Okay, I have explained it. What is language interoperability? If you write a code in one .NET language, then it can be used directly from other .NET language. Okay, that feature is called language interoperability. If you write a code in VB.NET, it can be accessed directly from C#.NET. Okay, for that only I have given that example. If you design a calculator in VB.NET, then that code can be directly used, or that component can be directly used in C Sharp without making any alterations. This is possible because all the .NET languages access only the base class library. Okay, each language is having its own syntax. For getting the input, syntax may be different. For control statement, syntax may be different. For defining array, syntax may be different. But the implementation of that syntax goes to base class library. It is available inside the common language runtime. Okay, that's why .NET is supporting the language interoperability feature. Okay, if you are having any doubt, you can ask me during the discussion session for this video session. Okay, next. So language interoperability, these are the main things. That is, a class written in one language can inherit from a class written in another language. This is the main concept of language interoperability. Don't forget that. A class written in one language can inherit from a class written in another language. What I have told earlier, if you design a calculator or calendar in VB.NET, that can be used directly from C Sharp. Okay, that can be used, it means what? You are designing a new application in C Sharp language. While designing that application, you need a calendar. So we are taking the calendar which was already developed in VB.NET. Okay, it means what? You are using already existing code from, or you are accessing the already existing code through the process of inheritance in your application, right? That's why the statement is like that. That is, a class written in one language can inherit from a class written in another language. Are you able to understand this? Calendar component is designed in VB.NET. We are going to develop an application in C Sharp. Assume we are going to develop an application, and that application needs calendar. Okay, along with that we need some extra features also. That extra features that I am going to write a code in C sharp, but for calendar, it is already available, right? So that can be inherited directly without making any changes. That is language interoperability. Okay, this feature is language interoperability. Now we are seeing the features of language interoperability one by one. Okay, so a class written in one language can inherit from a class written in another language. Second thing is the class can contain an instance of another class. The class can contain an instance of another class no matter what languages of two classes are. Okay, this is the another characteristic of language interoperability. Third point is an object can call an object can directly call methods against another object written in another language. An object can directly call methods against another object written in another language. See, we are telling language interoperability, its meaning in different lines. Once you understand this, you manipulate. You can manipulate. You can write 5 to 10 lines like this. Okay, language written in one .NET language, and that can be called directly from another .NET language. This is the concept of language interoperability. They are using that concept and making it as a 5 different points. Okay, that's it. Next, objects can be passed around between methods. Okay, objects can be passed between the methods. Next is when calling methods between the language, you can step between the methods in you can step between the method calls in the debugger even when this means stepping between source code written in different languages. Okay, again I'm repeating that point. When calling methods between languages, you can step between the method calls. You can step between the method calls in the debugger even when this means stepping between source code in different languages. See what they are trying to convey. Once you are developing an application, after that you will debug your code. While debugging, what happens? If you use the component that is designed in some other .NET language, it will also get debugged. Okay, those facilities are not there in C language or Java. Java supports platform independent, whereas C sharp is language neutral. Okay, that is the main difference between Java and C sharp. But people will not accept C sharp is support platform independent by showing some part of a feature. Okay, but in reality, C sharp or any .NET language does not support platform independent. They are language neutral. Okay, it is achieved with the help of CLR, Common Language Runtime. So, whatever be the program that you are writing in any of the .NET language, you will end up with intermediate language. That intermediate language gets executed to native machine code. those things are okay, but where they are accessing the library, they are accessing the library only from common language runtime. Okay, if you are writing a program in VB.NET, it is accessing the implementation of a function from base class library of the common language runtime of .NET framework. If you write a or if you call a function, predefined function from C# language, again it is going to access its implementation only from base class library of .NET framework. That's why .NET framework supports language interoperability. Okay. Yesterday I told there are 32 languages supports .NET. Okay. That is they are running on the .NET. So all the 32 languages is having their own syntax, but its implementation is there only in the common language runtime of .NET framework. Okay, when you call a method, its implementation will be there only in common language runtime. Okay, that's why we are saying .NET framework supports or intermediate language supports language interoperability. But remember one thing, C# or .NET framework or common language runtime or intermediate language, it does not support platform independence. If you are saying .NET support platform independent fully, you have to show me the proof for that. Okay, next we'll see the value type and reference type. I have already explained it. Basic data types are called as value types, and the variable which holds the address is called reference type. Okay, value type and reference type. So value types are those for which variable directly stores its data, whereas reference type are those for which the variable simply stores the address at which the corresponding data can be found. This is the main difference between value type and reference type. So value type example, integer, character, float, double, boolean. These are all the example for value type. Okay. For reference type, example is class, delegates, interfaces, and so on. Okay. Remember one thing, we are having a construct called structure in .NET. Okay, we are having a struct construct. Structure is available in C#, but structure comes under the category of value type and not reference type, whereas class is a reference type. Okay, value type is stored in stack. Reference type will get stored in heap. Heap is a memory. Okay, it's a normal memory. You know the difference between stack and heap. Okay, you have already studied in data structures. See, this point is mentioned here. Instances of reference type are always stored in the area of the memory known as managed heap. Okay, whereas value types are normally stored on stack. So here what you have to remember is what are the value types and what are the reference types. Okay, value types are basic data types: integer, float, double. What are the reference types? Class, dedicates, interfaces, and so on. Where value types get stored? It gets stored in the value types get stored in the stack. Reference type gets stored in the heap. Okay, it is called as managed heap. Question may be asked, what is managed heap? So you first go through what is heap, what is stack. Okay,